Welcome to the WhatintheShibal with Soogia and Ed.
We're just two Asian Americans talking shit about shit.
Except for today, we actually have a guest, but we'll get into that in a second. But how have you been?
Hi, Ed. I'm good. How was your week?
It was good. It was good. The highlight was probably last night when we went to go eat
everything.
Corn dogs.
We went to go eat everything.
Yeah, we ate a bunch of stuff. Oh, can't actually remember.
Okonomiyaki.
Yes, we went and ate some okonomiyaki, and then afterwards,
It's not my favorite.
It was good. It was good. I think part of the experience was taken away because they didn't make it at our table.
No.
You didn't love it.
Mm-mm. I have a thing about fishy things.
Oh yeah. That's
so like
right.
things that are even like overly fishy things or like things that are very, very ocean-esque. I think sometimes just it's for me off-putting. I don't like it. Also, there was something about the texture about it. Like as you know, it's like a round, I don't know, pancake-like thing, and it had like the noodles and like the outside was okay. And then as you work your way into it, it got a little bit like softer and more like battery. And so not battery, batter-like. Like so the texture was really I don't know, gelatinous almost, like soft and like gooey. Which isn't my favorite texture. So I
found it a little hard to eat. I
like,
wasn't sure.
Oh, in like the mechanics of it?
Yeah, like I was like trying to cut it with my chopsticks, but they're noodles.
Right. And then I started to take my chopstick and try to cut it like it was a fork and knife. And I was like, this must look insane.
And then I tried to eat it like they were noodles, but the one was like crisped on top. So like it was coming apart, but it wasn't coming apart.
Yeah.
And it just made me feel really self-conscious. And to be honest with you, I didn't think it was horrible.
I didn't think it was horrible. It's just...
But at least the place we went to, it wasn't very flavorful, I thought.
I don't really know what flavor I was looking for because all I got was like fishiness. And that's just, I was already
I don't mind the fishiness, but I just felt like it was like, I don't know if bland was the right word, but there just like wasn't a lot of flavor.
And that's okay. Not everything's going to be Two Hands corn dogs.
But we did then go to Two Hands corn dogs afterwards, and we ate
all of them. Oh my God. Which was really funny because we went last night. It was myself and our producer and obviously Ed and our special guest for the day. And so there was 4 of us and we got 5 corn dogs, but we each wanted to try each corn dog. We're not,
because we're we're all Asian. Like we all want to just taste everything.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But like it's on a stick.
Right.
And so we were attempting to cut it. And I don't know whose idea it was. They were holding it straight up and trying to like hack at it. Like vertically. And I was like, what the fuck are we doing? So I then had to strip each corn dog, unsheath it from its stick, and then cut each piece.
So I just want to be truthful. It wasn't until like the 3rd corn dog that
okay.
Susie
Well, because I was like, this isn't working. This is so fucking awkward. There has to be a better way. And my alien brain was like, oh, wait.
Okay, so the reason why I only cut the top half was because all the toppings were on top, and I didn't want to flip it over to ruin the toppings.
Right.
So I just was like, I'll just cut the top half, and I was like, it'll just rip off.
It doesn't. It will not just rip off.
The stick really fucked everything up.
And I will say, there was definitely something about the experience that was taken away by not eating it off the stick. You know what I mean? There's definitely that like visceral corn dog experience. So when you eat corn dogs in chunks, like an hors d'oeuvre, it just didn't have the same like nostalgic corn dog at the fair kind of quality. So that means we have to go back and get our own.
I understand the sampler thing, but they give you full-on corn dogs. And realistically, I wish they just gave you like mini corn dogs.
Wouldn't that be so cute if you just had like little mini bites and just like a whole like bucket of them?
Versus like, we're still like post-COVID,
Yeah, right. I was like, we can't just like go bite for bite. That's just so gnarly.
I mean, I would have been okay with it. I just didn't know if we were all okay with it. And it just seemed like the most like sensible thing to just cut it.
Okay.
Even though it wasn't very sensibly done.
So Two Hands corn dogs, if you want to take any, customer feedback, sampler platter would be the way to do it.
I'll even like guinea pig myself to let you know like
we volunteer
as tribute.
We will sit at the Two Hands factory, wherever that is, and conveyor belt eat all the corn dogs.
Just move it into my home.
And then we went to, I'm telling you, we ate so many fucking things. Then we went to, what was it called?
Honey Me.
Honey Me. I'd never been to Honey Me. There's frozen yogurt, right?
Yeah.
And I got
it's
the
soft serve.
What's the difference?
Frozen yogurt. I think it's the butterfat content.
Science.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Richness.
But it was really delicious. That was actually really good. It was really light, and it was really like, it wasn't really heavy like ice cream is. And mine had a little honeycomb in it, which was good at the time. And then I was driving home and I was like, I can't get this piece of wax out of my tooth. And the whole drive I was like trying to like not crash. I was like, God, it's so annoying. And I was like, maybe I'll have to. So I went home and I had to put like really hot water in my mouth to melt it off the pipe. It was on,
really?
So it was on like, you know, my last tooth is like this. It was on the back side of my last tooth. And I was like, okay, I couldn't reach it with my tongue. I couldn't do nothing. I was like trying to jam my finger, but that just pushed it up more. And I was like, I have to melt it. That's what I did.
That's like, so weird.
I was like, I got home and I was like, honey, can you turn on the kettle? He's like, are you going to have tea right now? I was like, it's kind of a long story. I don't feel like getting into it with you right now.
That's really weird. Yesterday, I was brushing my teeth and I had a piece of hair stuck in between my teeth.
Whose hair?
It was mine, I think. It must have been.
There?
I have no idea. I woke up, did my morning stuff, started was about to brush my teeth, and I like looked in the mirror and there was like a piece of hair stuck right here. And then I couldn't get it, and it just kept wedging further in between the teeth. And I was like, I don't know what to do. So then I tried to like mouthwash like a crazy person with water to like gargle, and it didn't budge. I even took my tweezers and tried to like stick it in there, and I was like, I'm gonna break my tooth.
What conversation is this? What the fuck is going on?
You know, life in my 30-some years of life.
I really need to know how you got a piece of your short hair wedged in your teeth, because you have to like get it up there.
I don't know how it happened.
Like if you were flossing with your hair, which you could do if you had longer hair, but your hair's so short.
I don't know. It might have happened in my sleep.
I don't spend much time thinking about this. What? Doing what were you doing?
I don't know. So I'm a mouth breather when I sleep sometimes.
But you'd have to like.
I hate admitting that. Maybe I was just like, or something. I don't know. Physics. That's, you know.
It's going to be a mystery that will never be solved.
I'm the only person this has ever happened to.
I can't live with this now. I can't live with not knowing how that fucking happened. And I
have no idea.
You.
But this little short piece of hair was stuck literally vertically, right in the teeth. And I was just like.
The only thing I can think of is maybe it wasn't your hair.
Oh, it was my hair.
How do you know? It could have easily been my hair. You wouldn't have known. It's just a black hair.
It was really short. It was like.
But what I'm saying is
how would your hair have gotten
what if, let's say, one of the people at Two Hands accidentally, one of their hairs fell on your corn dog, and then you bit it, and that's how it got lodged in your tooth?
More realistically, since it was yesterday morning before we went, it might have been my own hair in my own food that I cooked and then I ate.
Okay.
I just know that it wasn't my dog's hair.
People are going to call you dog eater now. Good job.
It was not my dog's hair. It was not my roommate's hair, I think.
How do you know that?
Because how would his hair get in my...
Did you like do a fucking DNA test on the...
No, but like how would any of their hairs get in my mouth?
I mean, it's all very mysterious, and we're so sorry you guys had to listen to this.
That was the highlight of my week.
And I think that after that conversation, I can't think of a better time to introduce our guest.
Today, we have a really exciting guest. He is a really well-known artist. He did a cover for the Fall Out Boys, and just a really big fan of his for a really long time in my life. We have our guest, Luke Chueh.
Hi, Luke. Thank you so much for joining us. We feel so honored. I'm so excited that you're here.
The pleasure is mine. Thanks for having me.
And I only struggle with the last part of your name because I know technically that's not how it's pronounced,
it's
but
actually,
that is how you prefer it to be pronounced.
Sure. It's pronounced Tre, but like say Star Trek without the K. But I prefer Chew because it kind of rolls off of my first name, Luke, with the two oo sounds.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
Luke Chew.
And it's it's just easier for people to say. Yeah.
Easier for people to say.
And remember, and as an artist, you want to be, remembered for.
Absolutely. So, But yeah, we were just before we started, we were just talking about where my artwork fits into the genres of art, and we were talking about lowbrow, and as to whether or not that term is offensive.
Right.
And to a certain degree, it is offensive because, like, being lowbrow implies like a low
Right.
like eyebrow bridge or whatever, which is more like a
Lower
gorilla
intellect
right
subspecies type.
But it's actually kind of more of a tongue-in-cheek term because it kind of comes from, I think it comes from Robert Williams, whom is often considered the godfather of so-called lowbrow art, and he published one of his first books was called The Lowbrow Art of Robert Williams. And then it kind of like snowballed from there. And then there was an attempt to rebrand it, I think in the early 2000s, as pop surrealism, which...
It's like on the other end of the spectrum. It's like really snooty
pretentious.
sounding. Right.
A little pretentious, but like in an ignorant kind of way, because the surrealists kind of, they had like, they kind of followed like the idea of, art movements of the time. They had a manifesto, and like, people like artists rallied around the manifesto and whatever. And like, we're just kind of like a scattershot of a whole bunch of artists, doing whatever the hell we want, inspired by popular culture or, traditional art movements and stuff like that. So I don't know. You could call me, call my art whatever you want. It really doesn't bother me anymore. I used to take a little bit offense to the label of lowbrow, not because of what it implied, but the aesthetic of lowbrow when it was kind of coming into its own in the 90s, in the 80s and 90s, was really kind of driven by like white culture, like hot rods and, like all that kind of very Americana stuff, like hot rods and whatever. And so, and I don't feel like I'm at all, my aesthetic is at all informed by those things. So it is, it is what it is.
How would you qualify it or quantify your art? Or what would you title it? If so, you just had to see, like, give us one sentence on what your art is.
My artwork is, that's a tough question. Right. Like I guess on one hand, I was very much inspired by the artworks of like, say, Takeshi Murakami or Yoshitomo Nara, a lot of the street art aesthetic and the art toy aesthetic, which kind of came up in the early 2000s. It's very narrative. I consider my work to be very introspective. It's about the way my experiences being an Asian American has informed my perspective on the world. And so, I use a lot of like kind of tongue-in-cheek stuff and visual metaphor to where I drop this character. It's a kind of like this bear character. People often ask like, where does the bear come from? And just to sum it up really quickly, wait, am I allowed to curse on this podcast?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay.
You've only known me for like 24 hours. I'm sure you could have guessed the answer was yes.
Sure. Well, you never know. And then the also like, am I like, can I like get into like?
Yeah. You can talk about whatever you want.
Whatever you want. Yeah. We want to hear everything.
Okay, so my best friend Jamie and I were on acid.
Sweet. Okay.
And
I was like, he's gonna like say like murder spree or like.
No. We're just on acid.
Shit.
Nothing
I was
that
like,
cool.
just acid. That's cool.
Easy.
And we were running around going like, oh, we're Care Bears. I'm Luke Bear. She's Jamie Bear. Ah. And then I used to live in that house. I grew up. I went to school in San Luis Obispo, college town. Yep. And I used to live in that house where, like, when the bars closed, people would, trickle in and hang out, and the party would continue. And, we were dosing and, walking up to people going, oh, I'm like Sunshine Bear, and oh, I'm like Laughs a Lot Bear. What bear are you? And then this guy who, in my, like, intoxicated mind, looked like he was itching for a fight because, the violent drunk types.
Yeah.
Looks at us and goes, you guys are fucking bullshit bears.
That's so rude.
And we looked at each other, and it was the funniest thing.
Yeah.
And we just went running off. And then after that, like it was, was Luke Bear, she was Jamie Bear, and to this day we still refer to each other as that. And so when I moved to Los Angeles during my quarter life crisis in 2003, I
to find yourself.
Couldn't find a job, and so I was introduced to a show called Cannibal Flower. It no longer exists, but it has kind of morphed into like Art Bar in Venice, and the guy who ran that show also works for Think Space Gallery. I needed to come up with a character. I wanted to come up with a character that I could be able to wrap my idea around. And so the bear, this kind of was an obvious choice. And in the beginning, I didn't even really want it to be like a bear. So like I kind of morphed a whole bunch of different like attributes. So there's triangular ears, which are like cats, and
like a fox almost.
Yeah, exactly. And then the bear, like I just wanted to create something cute and something that people can empathize with.
Right. Like a relatable character.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly. And I kind of built this entire philosophy around the employment of this character. Because in order to rationalize me doing cartoon characters as serious art.
Yeah.
And like the ideas that I kind of imbued into it is that by employing anthropomorphized characters, I am bypassing the potential ageism, racism, and sexism that would be associated with human characters.
Right.
Wow.
Ignoring the fact that humans are just really hard to draw.
Yeah.
Right, especially hands.
Hands are hard. Faces are hard.
Yeah.
And I wanted to create artwork that was like both attractive and maybe disarming, inviting, and
well, and I have listen, I'll be totally honest. I know as much about art as I do building a carburetor. I really don't, but objectively to look at the art, it was so, I want to say like in its expression, the bear itself is so simply drawn and like, but you can read so much expression from it. Like I showed my daughter, maybe I shouldn't have because she's very young. She's only 8. And I was looking at the photos and she's like, what are you looking at? I was like, I'm looking at some art, an artist that is going to be coming in tomorrow. I'm getting familiar with his art. And so the first one she sees is, I don't know what the title of it is.
Slanted.
Yeah. Is the bear holding its eyes back in the very traditional, very discriminatory, way that people do.
Which he drew for a show at our gallery.
Which I find so amazing. Yeah. And she sees that. She goes, oh, Mommy, isn't that racist? And I was like, well, yeah, kind of. She's like, but the bear looks so sad doing it. And I was like, that is very perceptive of you. And I was like, even she as a child could read like the emotion from the bear, which is such a, like you said, it's like it's not like a human face. You can't read there aren't a lot of distinctive facial characteristics, but she could very easily discern the emotion from the painting. And I was like impressed by both of you, to be honest.
Well, I think that like I was born in the 70s, and so I grew up watching like a lot of cartoons, reading a lot of comics. I still do both of those things. Yeah. And so that kind of visual information, like hand-drawn cartoon characters, like heavily informs the things that I do. And we were talking last night about, the emotive qualities of my work. And I think that the thing that I am most interested in is this idea of like contrast. So like the reason why the bear is white, or at least the original idea the bear is white, is this idea of that I want of like tabula rasa, or the clean slate, or like innocence. And one of the big narratives that I like to employ is this idea of innocence lost, because I believe that no matter who you are, we all kind of like have that moment where we're kind of like, this is all a fucking lie.
Yeah.
Right.
And and so I try and I generally kind of avoid like, playing like the race card because I'm more interested in kind of universal
themes.
Experiences. And once in a while I'll like kind of like get into very more personal stuff.
Yeah.
But that painting Slanted that I created for you was actually created for an AAPI show.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that's Asian American Pacific Islander, in case you don't know.
For those of you who don't know, but if you're actually listening to our podcast, you already knew.
It was during the pandemic, and it was during May, which is AAPI Heritage Month.
Yeah, yeah. Is that a new thing? I kind of feel like it's a new thing.
It's new-ish.
Yeah, I don't remember it in my childhood. Mm-hmm. Maybe it existed, just no one cared. But I do feel like it might be newish. Like maybe in the last
decade,
10 years.
I feel like the first time I heard about this was last year, or 2 years ago when I created the painting or whatever.
You're like, oh, cool, like, sure.
So, Luke, what I think is really interesting is that you say that the art is kind of your interpretation of yourself.
Sure.
And obviously, your being Asian American informs all of these emotions and feelings and things like that. So when you say like it's more kind of like a personal thing, which I found really interesting, is like how relatable it was for me as also an Asian woman. So I know that you don't want to speak for others, you just are speaking for yourself, but I think you, whether you intend to or not, do speak for us, because I feel like it's such a relatable way to like, I don't know, very clearly see exactly what it is you're trying to say. Obviously the art is, interpretation is very, very important, obviously, and everybody will interpret things differently, but I found such relatability in your work. I think I was really moved by it. I really was.
I mean, that one specifically, I think, but there's just...
even the other ones.
No, for sure. Yeah. I mean, specifically with Asian, but I just mean overall, I feel like I relate mostly with your art and just this like, and maybe it is kind of a slightly common Asian theme, but like where we just like try to portray everything is fine, but I'm literally just falling apart inside.
There was a sadness to it that I was just like
moved
by, And I think that was the thing, is like the bear is so like approachable and cute and sweet and cuddly, and then you look down and its hands are dripping with blood, and I'm like, I'm feeling so many feelings looking at this picture. It's like really impactful.
Especially when I first started painting, it was this one little window, like a 1 year window of sobriety that I had. And then like I'm a recovering addict. And one of the reasons why I retreated to Los Angeles back to the comforts of my mother and father's place was because I was dealing with addiction issues. And then I, came back after moving to Los Angeles. I was like sober enough to kind of get a ball rolling, and then, figured out like how the, drug market works in Los Angeles. And then I kind of fell back into it for like, 7 years. I've been sober now for almost 12 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's an accomplishment.
Huge. Yeah.
But I think that experience like really kind of informs my like nihilistic, understanding or interpretation of this world. And for a long time, like the blood on the hands was to me a metaphor for my addiction issues. A lot of like the thing is I've done like a couple of paintings that directly address my that life that I was leading, but like I kind of at the same time I wanted to like I found myself using like relationship metaphors for the to kind of describe like the things that I was experiencing, because I think most addicts would agree that like what you really have is not just a physiological addiction to a substance. It is a it's literally a relationship, a love-hate relationship you have with a substance, and that love-hate thing can be reinterpreted as like just normal relationships. Though I don't really like to kind of address that like idea of like love and like, between two people in my work, because like I think everybody has their own different experiences, and you can't really like, like, I don't know. I don't like to.
It is. It's just like relationships are so nuanced. You can't really.
It's a relationship that you have with yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
And whether it's positive or negative, self-destructive or uplifting, those are the things I think I find like the most interesting.
So Luke, tell us a little bit about before you were Luke the artist. You know what I mean? Like where you grew up, your family relationship, like all that stuff. I know you're from Fresno.
Yes.
Because I think, like you said, your art is informed by your experience. So what were your experiences leading up to kind of how you became the artist you are?
I was born in Philadelphia, but 3 months after I was born, my family moved to Fresno, and it sucked.
It sucked.
Oh, it really sucked.
Why did they move from Philly to Fresno? Because that's
work.
Work.
My father was a social worker, and so he was able to like find work in that field in Fresno,
Are your
California.
parents immigrants? Your parents are Chinese immigrants?
Yeah,
okay.
Yes. So I believe that makes me first generation. I don't know how the generation.
Yeah, I always get confused. I think
that's how
sometimes it is. I
works.
think sometimes they think of the immigrants as first gen, and then the state-born side. So all three of us are second gen. But I've always considered it the way you do.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
I'd be the first generation born here.
Right.
Yeah.
Like first
I'm sure
generation
somebody in the comment section will tell us
American.
that we're wrong or right.
Please let us know.
Don't.
And but yeah, so I grew up in Fresno, and Fresno was like a red dot in blue California. Oof. And so yeah, I experienced a lot of I don't know, like racism and discrimination and
bullying and bullshit.
Bullying, harassment, and everything like that. And then after spending the first 18 years of my life in that hellhole, I went on to go to school at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, where everything kind of just flipped on itself. Like I was basically living in a Central Coast, paradise.
Yeah, it's so beautiful there.
Yeah, and I had a great time. And
before you moved to San Luis Obispo, as I'm guessing one of probably very few Asian people, if any, were there other Asian people around you? Or was
no.
Did you actively like seek out community, or were you just like, fuck this, I'm just gonna hide and just like be by myself and reclusive and like not?
No, I befriended people that I got along with. And a lot of those people are kind of like, I was that like Asian kind of goth, wore all black, listened to industrial music, was, aspiring record store employee.
Yeah.
Someday.
All of that was so cool when we were young.
Yeah, especially 70s working at the record shop was the coolest you could be.
Oh yeah. I wanted to be that kind of cool. And so I had a lot of white friends, back in Fresno, my best friend in Fresno is an Indian guy, and hung out. Like I actually hated like most of the, Chinese kids that I grew up around.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because Charlie practices the violin for an hour a day.
Yeah.
Because so-and-so wants to be a fucking doctor.
Ophthalmologist. Isn't that exciting?
Because blah, blah, blah is playing fucking tennis.
So then this was your active rebellion against that then?
Yes.
Got it.
I feel like before I even met you, I kind of related that through your art, because I also grew up in a really white area, and I think I worked so hard, especially during my childhood, maybe even my early 20s, like trying to dispel that I'm anything stereotypically Asian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think sometimes even, at least for me, that also included like getting heavily into drugs.
Right.
Because I was like, oh, Asian people aren't supposed to do drugs. Well, then I'm going to do all the cocaine then. You know what I mean? So.
Which I think is so interesting, because I think a lot of, well, at least even for me, like my objective was to like just fit in. do what everybody else is doing, fit in. That way, maybe you can fly, just under the radar. Whereas you were very much like, fuck all of this. I'm going full opposite. Everything you guys do, and I'm gonna completely, go against. Which I think is really, I don't know. It's really interesting to me because I was like, I don't want people to look at me and I'll just wear what you guys are wearing and say what you guys are saying and like not stick out.
I hated that shit. Yeah. I hated that shit. It felt so natural for me to just kind of like, to openly rebel against, everything.
Well, then let me ask you this then. Then what was that experience like? Like what were your parents' perspective on that? Because that's got to be.
Oh, I like wrecked my family.
But did they try to project those like ideals and like desires onto you? Like, did they want you?
No. My father, like I said, my father was a social worker, and so he kind of like was a lot more open. I think my mom was much more conservative, traditional, conservative, but she never really kind of pushes any like conservative value, like traditional values on me. Like even now, she's not like, where's my grandchildren or some shit like that. She's pretty chill, but like my father, social worker, like kind of like I think knew like, oh, like this is just kind of inevitable.
Yeah, because like I had a struggle because my mom wanted me to be one of those stereotypical Asian kids, and I think I struggled a lot because like I wanted to please her. Because like I wanted her to be proud of me, but at the same time I was like, none of this is who I am or who I want to be.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm not going to be a doctor.
Yeah.
I hate school.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you an only child?
No, I have a sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
She struggled in her own way too with like growing up in Fresno.
I don't see how you couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Fresno is just. I haven't been back in a while, but like like Fresno is 110 degrees summers and like 35 40 degree winters, and it's like it sucks, and there's nothing. It's just this big flat wasteland of decay.
Yep.
And and racism.
Yeah, and like when you don't have anything to do, especially kids, it's hard not to be an asshole.
Well, the funny thing is, I didn't even get into like drugs or anything like that during that period.
Yeah,
like it all kind of happened like during college, which
Same.
was like amazing.
Yeah. When you get out of all of that and all the repression and expectations or whatever, and you're like have freedom for the first time yourself, and I have agency over my own self. You're like, I don't know what that means.
Right.
I'm doing everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hard. You're right.
Yeah. And I didn't even get into the hard stuff until after I graduated.
Oh, wow.
Because I was like, I still have to do this. I still have to like get my degree.
Yeah.
And I smoked weed and I drank a lot and I did like acid, obviously.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until like after I was on like the 6-year program at my school.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah. Well, I went to a CSU. So, and at the time it was like $700 for a full term.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah. We're older than you.
Yeah. and my rent was like $350.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but the difference is insane because it was like $20,000 for me to go to school per year.
Well, I mean, per term. So I went to California Polytechnical School, which is a 4-quarter system.
Oh.
So 700, 2,100.
Still though, that's 10 times less than mine.
So you left college and then got heavily into drugs, and then you got sober, and then you got back into drugs, and then so what was the trajectory of like your artistry and like your drug use? Because I feel like a lot of people think that. I don't know. I think a lot of people associate drug use with a lot of very creative, successful artists and things. You know what I mean? So like, how did that chop up for you?
It didn't.
Okay.
It didn't work out that way because my drug habit was so like massive at the time that I really needed to like be able to scrape up. I think at the time I had like $150 a day drug habit.
Wow.
And so I needed to like come up with that kind of money like very regularly. And in order for me to come up with that money, I had to deliver and sell artwork that I knew I had to create artwork that I know would sell.
Right.
And, that didn't really leave a lot of room for experimentation or anything like that. And, when it all kind of ended, like I've been like wanting for the cycle to stop. Just so I could be able, like, I was so bored with my artwork. I was just like, oh my God.
Like hotel lobby stuff?
No, like, it was the bear and blood and gore and everything like that. But it's just, like you can only paint so many bloody bears before you're kind of like, I'm like
bored with bloody bears.
I am so over this. And, when I stopped, when I finally was able to stop and mind you, I tried like rehabs and I tried like different programs here and there. And I tried going to NA and AA meetings and like, I just could never like, I don't know, like get into it.
Grasp it.
Like, I think the faith thing like was an issue for me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it wasn't necessarily a deterrent. It's just like people, I remember like my first and my only sponsor, tried to help me work through like the 12-step program. And like the first or second step had something to do with like acknowledging that you had a problem with drugs. And I was like, of course I've got a problem with drugs.
Like, why else would I be
Why would I be sitting in this random fucking church?
Yep. I know I can't stop drugs on my own. I know I can't. It's like, I've got like the holes all over my body to prove it. And I just kind of, and like it wasn't like some great epiphany for me. It's like, you could step aside from your body and or something from yourself and look at it yourself and go, I'm
fucked.
This is a problem.
Yeah.
I'm pretty fucked up, man. Yeah.
And so, I just like none of the steps were like some kind of revelation for me. Like it was all like obvious, like everything was obvious. And so what I ended up doing was I got on a methadone clinic and just kind of weaned myself, off. And then once I finally got to a point where it's like, I'm just drinking pink colored water now.
Right.
I'm like, this is, I'm done. And, finally it was done.
So it's so interesting that you say that your art was boring to you at what, like while you were using is what you're saying?
Yes.
Which I think is so funny because when you think about like media and stuff, right? Like drug use is so romanticized when it comes to artists and you see them painting their most, prolific work or whatever. Like this is like the romanticized, narrative that they give, the art world. So I find it actually really interesting that you say that it's the opposite. In fact, I find that.
I mean, I think both can exist. It just sounds like you were in a situation where you needed to churn your artwork out to make the money to fuel your habit.
Versus the other way around.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
My husband actually is in recovery. My husband is an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. And so when you talk about the program and like a lot of the aspects of it, I'm like, I can totally see how you saw it that way. Because my husband is very devout to this 12 steps and he's doing great. And I'm not begrudging any of that. But
that's awesome.
For sure. Yeah.
I think that the program, the fellowship is great. And there's a lot of people out there whom it has helped.
Yes.
And I am not going to say it's bad or wrong or whatever, but like, it just wasn't me.
But it doesn't work for everyone.
Right. And me not being an alcoholic, when I see my husband going through the steps and all that stuff, I'm like really surprised that he kind of, I don't want to say like bought into it, but like this is working for him because before when he was an alcoholic, these are things that he probably would have been like, yeah, no, I'm not buying into this, but it's working for him.
Right.
But me, I'm like, I'm so surprised that it works for him. So like, I get what you're saying as to like not subscribing to certain aspects of it. Cause I am like, I don't know that I would.
Yeah. If you were going through it, you don't know if it'd work
I don't think
you.
I would at all.
Yeah.
In fact, I know I wouldn't.
Yeah. Like I wanted it to work for me.
For sure.
I wanted, and I like, even, though I didn't necessarily believe in in the fellowship, I often thought to myself, I should just go to these things just to kind of develop a social network of, people who are living the straight, lives in the straight and narrow, and like have them around me, but I don't know, like the one thing you'd be kind of surprised is, at least, with this art scene that I was in, like at that time, a decade ago, like, was how little, like, shenanigans was happening around me. I'm sure it was happening, here and there, but it was like, as a whole, like, people were just grinding. People were just like, get into the studio, work. Maybe like, go to a party on the weekend, get like wasted, and then wake up the next day and get back to work again. And I never felt like, I'm in some sort of like toxic, self-destructive, world. Like, people were too busy trying to catch up with deadlines. People were too busy trying to, like, like you don't travel like, to like other countries with, like an 8-ball of Coke in your ass.
Right.
Like, we all like want to think that we do.
I don't.
But yeah, right.
So it's just way too risky.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I like got off a plane in a different country. I was visiting Japan, and like I was sober at the time. It was like in the first couple of years I was sober, and like I got into like the lobby, and I was greeted by a drug sniffing dog. And I was just thinking to myself, like, if this was like 2 years ago,
I'd be fucked.
I'd be fucked.
Yeah.
I'd be so fucked. And so, I love traveling. It's fun.
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that. Every time my husband and I are driving, and I've been like, my husband is very comfortable with us going out and me having a couple glasses of wine or whatever, and it's like not a thing for him. But one night we got pulled over. He was driving. No, we didn't get pulled over. The cops' lights were flashing behind us, and he goes, I know that's not for me. And I was like, and even if it is, it's not going to be a problem. I was like, oh, that's such a good way to think about it. Like, my designated driver doesn't ever have to worry again about being pulled over and getting arrested and going to jail because he's drunk driving. So
right.
I get that. I totally relate.
I can't, especially like, being an a recovering alcoholic, I can only imagine like the dread that, like,
right.
It's so readily available and consumed.
I was actually talking to him. We all went to dinner last night, and we all had so much food. We'll talk about that in a second.
So many corn dogs.
Oh my God. And then ice cream. I was like, step over the edge.
In fact, I went home and I was like, I want to do that again.
I know.
Right now.
But it hurts.
But my stomach hates it.
It hurts so bad. I was telling my husband something that you said, and I'd never really thought about it from the perspective that you gave, which was like, people who use hard drugs or are addicted to gambling or are addicted to, certain things, it's not as prevalent or prominent just in your day-to-day life, right? You don't go into you don't see casinos every single, place you go. You don't see drug dealers necessarily, or, whatever. Whereas with my husband, alcohol is everywhere, right? We go to dinner, there's alcohol. He goes grocery shopping, there's alcohol. We go, parties, there's alcohol, barbecues, even our kids' school events, there's alcohol. I'm like, it's everywhere. And like, it really didn't dawn on me.
There's alcohol at school events now?
Fuck yeah. How do you think they make money? They sell, oh yeah, for sure.
I had no idea.
It's really fun. It's super fun. Are you kidding me? That's like, for a lot of us, like the only way a lot of us get through parenting.
Oh my God. What a time to be
but
alive.
like, you said that, and I was like, oh my God. Like, not that it didn't occur to me, but as you said it, just kind of juxtaposing it to different forms of addiction, I was like, oh fuck. I'm really hard on him sometimes. I should really ease the fuck up. I was like, it really does give me a lot of perspective, or I gained a perspective that I maybe forgot about, that I needed to revisit, which really kind of, I don't know, realigned me with how my husband is navigating the world now. That's
the only time I really kind of realized that was when people were talking about the NA and AA logos. And so like the NA logo, the Narcotics Anonymous logo is a circle with a triangle in it. And I think the AA logo is a circle with a triangle in it, and then the Narcotics Anonymous logo is a circle with a square in it. And I guess the fourth point in the AA, the Narcotics Anonymous logo, it has something to do with the legality of the substance.
Whereas alcohol, they don't have to because it's legal.
Because it's legal, yeah. I was just thinking about that because I remember I did a painting a long time ago, for I think I called the painting Brian. It was for a Family Guy show, and it was actually like Fox, like put the show on and invited me to do it, and then so I did a painting of Brian sitting at a bar, in front of a martini, and around his collar is his dog tag, and I replaced like the normal like unmarked collar with a collar with a triangle in it, implying that he's an alcoholic,
right?
And so it was a very subtle.
I was gonna say, did anybody catch it?
Some people caught it,
okay,
but like it's very subtle. Like I think people would look at it and think it's like a Freemason,
right? I was gonna say that could be interpreted like right.
Yeah. But really, it's an addiction issue kind of thing. So
interesting.
Would you say your addiction was more physical or mental?
Oh, it's definitely both. Definitely both. I think that.
Which one do you think was the harder one to drop?
I don't know. I think so. Like I had to, like I said, I went on a methadone program to do this, and I was on that methadone program for like a couple of years.
Oh wow!
To like kind of ease myself down really slowly. Because and there was times during that methadone program where I would slip up, and despite the fact that I was on methadone, which has dopamine blockers, I was like still like scoring and like shooting up and all this other stuff. And but basically what happened was my drug dealer got busted, and a whole bunch of people got busted, and then I got arrested for when I tried contacting my drug dealer. And then when you show up on on a list, and like the city you live in, you're kind of fucked.
Wow.
Because like you're a drug offender.
Yeah.
And so police can like just they see you and they could pull you over and take a test. And
so they arrested you just for contacting him?
I mean, I contacted her like the addict that I was, which means I like dropped like probably 30 texts, tried calling about 10 times.
So it wasn't just like a, hey, I found your cat.
Right, yeah. No, it was like, hey, where are you?
Yeah, right. All right. You there? Hello? You there? Right. This is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Wow.
Forget about that context. Yeah.
So, and so and I remember like my dealer was a woman, and I remember like I finally got a call back, and it was a man, and everything in my head was screaming, "That's a fucking cop!
Hang up, dude! Hang up!
That is a fucking cop you're talking to." And then like I'm like, "So what do you want to meet?"
But the addict in you was like, but maybe it's not.
Because maybe you're going to make a new friend.
Oh, she just like, moved, and this is her replacement.
She had associate. Obviously.
And I was at, where was it? The Starbucks on Highland, and it's like right by the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah,
that one. And I forgot what's the other. I can't remember the name of the cross street off the. But anyways,
yeah.
I was, I remember like I went over there. There was a guy, doing his best drug, dealer impersonation,
probably with a hoodie,
and he hands me like a bag full of balloons, because that's how that stuff was packaged. And I was looking at him like, what the fuck is this? Because, like. I used to get it packaged a different way. He's like, that's what it is. And I'm like, okay. And then next thing I know, like I turn around and a cop car goes right in front of me, and I'm like, shit.
I've been like, these aren't baseball cards.
Yeah, right.
These aren't baseball cards.
I thought we were trading comic books.
Yeah, exactly.
What's happening?
This is not my Starbucks order.
I said,
you're not a barista? What is
heroin.
But like when that happened, I kind of knew like it was done. And I was relieved to a certain degree, because I knew that my dealer was going to be going away for a while. And I didn't have, like my dealer spoiled me So like, you know, I couldn't just like go to like on the streets and get, you know, the kind of like crap that
Quality.
Did you go to jail?
Quality. I spent the night in the glass house.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh,
and yeah, it's because, yeah, I don't know. I basically like told the cops what they wanted to hear.
Got it.
And, you know, they let me out the next day, and, you know, went back to the methadone clinic. And that was it.
That was the last time? Those are the last.
Well, I lawyered up too.
Right,
and,
right, of course.
you know.
Right. Obviously.
And I also had like warrants out for my arrest in different counties.
Luke,
You know,
such a colorful history.
yes.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what we'll call it.
Also kind of relatable though.
yeah. You know, once you go rolling down that hill, like, you know,
It just happens.
just, you know, make a bunch of friends, you know, who wear uniforms.
Yeah. And even though I've never been on a list as a known drug offender, like when I was at school, I went to school at Delaware. Just kind of be like, my mom wouldn't let me go to a bunch of schools that I wanted to because she was trying to keep me out of trouble, I guess. Like she wouldn't let me move to New York. She wouldn't let me move to Boston. So like I just, to spite her, I was like, I'm going to pick the randomest school I got accepted to. I was like, Delaware. I was like, that's where I'm going. But I was so out of control there that like the university cops and the city cops knew me by face and name. So whenever they would see me walking at nighttime, they'd be like, oh shit, that's Ed Choi over there. Let's follow him. You know, he's going to go get in some trouble. And I'd be like, oh my God. You know what I mean? So like, I definitely understand what you mean.
Right. Yeah. No. Once they know you, once they recognize you, it's over. And you know, and before that, I got like the way all this kind of started was I got caught up in the entire, like, I was living in San Luis Obispo, you know, population, like 100,000, 50,000, something like that. I don't remember, you know, what I think it's 100,000 with school in session or something. And,
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
You know, living in a Central Coast beach paradise, and I got like deep into like the OxyContin, you know, and meth thing that was like, you know, going on out there. And so I didn't like, it wasn't like, you know, me being in LA, I became an addict.
Right.
I was, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and you could hear, you know, but definitely for sure when you're like at a certain age and there isn't anything to do, it's only a matter of time before drugs enter that picture, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, I was like drinking a lot too.
Yeah.
You know, so like I was, you know, I was so bored.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Bored. and you know, like so I would like go to the bars all the time, almost like daily, and just drink. And like I suffer from what I fondly refer to as Asian drinking syndrome, which means like, you know, I turn red.
You have it?
Yeah. Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah.
You know, and like it just takes a little bit to like completely fuck me up.
Do you have that, Ed?
I get like a Zorro mask, but I'm also the same. Like I'll get drunk really fast, but because my family has a history of alcoholism and because I was like a raging alcoholic, I can keep drinking for a really long time.
For anybody who doesn't know what we're referring to, we're talking about the Asian glow, which is when some Asian people, I think it's probably like an allergy to alcohol.
We lack an enzyme that breaks down the alcohol.
Have like a sip and then turn red. I had a friend in college, his name was John, and he would literally take a sip of alcohol, and I'm like, your body is trying to tell you something, dude. Your face is fucking purple. Like your body is trying to throw it up the fucking white flag.
Doing everything to reject it.
And then when it gets really bad, you can like feel the blood pulsating through your face, and it feels like it's swelling, and like you can literally feel it. You're like, I swear my face is like pulsating.
Your heart is like beating out of your chest.
Jeez,
and
I felt that.
And you persist.
Yeah, and I only felt that way with just a Zorro mask. Like my business partner, roommate Ron, like his whole body turns red.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and like it's like one of those where like if you touch it, it leaves that like white print that disappears like a mood ring. Yeah, and like
what I learned was if you drink regularly, your body kind of
build
like
the tolerance.
Yeah.
Builds
The human body is so smart.
Well, there's also the antacid trick.
Yeah, the Pepsid.
Yeah.
You pop the Pepsid and you're good to
Which
go.
didn't come out till later.
Yeah, by then I'd already stopped drinking.
I was gonna say, not that we're trying to give you different ways to drink or go back to drinking, obviously.
I had a box of Pepsid like in my car that I never really used, but like just in case, I wanted to give it a try. But yeah, so I drank and I drank and I drank and I drank and I drank, and and I'd get myself into really like dumb situations, and then like drugs came in, and I just filled that hole with.
While you were in college, were you also an artist? Like, were you?
Yeah, what did you go to college for?
So I studied graphic design.
Okay.
At that's the practical person's art career.
Right.
It's the I want to be an artist, but I also
actually,
want a
stand
regular
a chance of
paycheck.
making money
I didn't
and
come
like
from a really
safe.
I didn't come from a really rich family, so like mine has to be practical. Like
I have to be able to apply this somewhere.
Yeah. Yes. And it was great for me because like it taught me everything I kind of needed to know about color theory and like whatchamacallit, composition and stuff like that. And I was like surrounded. My class had a really like amazingly talented student body, so I had a great time out there in San Luis Obispo. But I did have a funny racist, kind of racist.
I love funny racist moments. Lay it on us. Lay it on me.
So I and apparently I wasn't the only one who got this note. It was I know another Asian student that got it, and that was so we had this assignment where we were building this kind of like book to an extent where we were like learning like hands-on like color mixing with paint and stuff like that. So you'd like build this like graph where you had like white to black and then all the like colors in between, and it going like I think the opposite way on the like x-axis versus y-axis, and then you had to fill everything in between it by making when those colors mix.
Yeah.
And then you did it on chipboard, and you sat there with an X-Acto blades, and you carefully cut each one into perfect squares, and then like create this grid. And like I was not good at this.
Yeah, that's insane.
And I got a note from one of my professors saying like I don't think graphic design is your thing. Maybe you should like look into like the math department.
Wait, so this professor's idea was like, hey, your graph is not great. You should
go into math and do graphs there instead.
No, I think it's because my cuttings were not perfect. My brush strokes were not perfectly flat.
Right.
Which
But
is
all
so
of that
crazy,
also goes
though.
along with the exactness of math.
Right. And
You know what
also
I mean?
like there are other mediums to art, like X-Acto
No,
cutting squares might not.
This is like 1991. So like it was way before like Photoshop was like the standard and everything.
It was all done by hand. Yeah.
It was all everything. Like
Showing the
I was
math
like
part.
probably a year or two like after they were cutting Ruby Lith to like do masking for magazines and stuff. I don't know that you're familiar with that, but like it in the old times graphic design before like after like like movable type and stuff, they were using this stuff called Ruby Lith. Ruby Lith was like a gel, like an amber colored gel on like clear plastic, and you would sit there with an X-Acto blade, and like in order to do your masking, you would like cut like the silhouette of what you want, masked out, and you had to do it precisely without scratching the plastic too badly and everything like that. And so like graphic design at the time was hands-on.
So you did have to be good at X-Acto cutting.
That's true. You're right.
At all those
really
all
funny.
this stuff. And so like in math, you just like write on like whatever you flick your abacus.
Yeah.
Right, you just
In the 90s, yes.
like
Now we have calculators that just graph everything for you very precisely.
But at the end of it all, at the end of my time in school, that specific professor was arguing with another like painting professor as to who had the biggest influence on me as an artist. So like
Thought it was him?
No, she.
Oh, she thought it was her?
Yeah, because she taught a painting class, and
Yeah.
and the other professor taught an illustration class. and I had like, you know, all these like paintings in like the student exhibition that were like getting awards and stuff like that. And so like, you know, it was like,
were you like,
this is my handiwork.
Excuse me, you actually just shoved an abacus in my hand and told me to get the fuck out of here. Actually, so
well, like you go do math.
Yeah.
Well, my friend John, who is like also Asian American, got the similar note, and his plan was during the graduation walk was to hand, and he became like an art director. I think for a while he was an art director at Apple, and he was like, you know, amazing super talented graphic designer, and he and I were always kind of like butting heads,
competing,
you know, and competing. Yeah. He was definitely way here, and I was.
Don't sell yourself short.
Well, so before I graduated, I had a professor kind of pull me aside and said, you know, Luke, you are a mediocre graphic designer.
Oh my God.
Thank you for pulling me in here.
You are a much better illustrator.
Oh, okay.
And you should like look into pursuing a career in illustration. And I was like, yeah.
That almost felt like a pep talk. Almost so close. You could have actually just not even said the whole first part, but that's fine. We're here.
Well, she, you know, the funny thing, and I asked her like, you know, which art school should I like look into going in for an MFA or something, and should I like look at like Art Center or like, you know, any of these prestigious art schools? And she's like, no, you should like, you know, look at like, you know, maybe something like a university education, because it's a more well-rounded education. You gain
in case
you get more experience just like, you know, living in these environments and existing and interacting in these environments than you would like say Art Center, where like I remember when I first moved down here, like, and we would be like you know, hanging artwork at the Cannibal Flower Show that I was telling you about, and it's like you could spot it a mile away. Like, oh, Art Center.
Oh, yeah.
Art Center.
Yeah.
Art Center, because they had this very specific aesthetic.
Yeah.
And mostly because the professors that they had were such personalities.
Yep.
Right.
You know, it's hard not to be like caught up in their charisma.
Yep. And be influenced.
Yeah. Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Easily. It's like, you definitely know more than me. I'm following you
Right.
all the way to hell.
Yeah. I think that's part of the reason why like I hated school so much, especially college. It's like I went to school for advertising, and like I think a lot of in creative industries, it's really hard for me not to be like, and I understand that it's not like this for everywhere, especially the prestigious schools, but like I always kind of just felt like you're here because you weren't great. You know, so like, why would I listen to your critique?
You mean like those who can't teach?
Yes, you know what I mean. And again, I understand it's not like that all the time. I understand a lot of like great artists, you know, do teach while they are doing.
That's like the new Bob Odenkirk show, right? Like where he was a professor. And he's like, you know, like, you guys are all fucking mediocre. This is an institution for mediocrity, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, but I saw the trailer. Yeah, that's how I felt. Because it just, you know, when they would tell us, like, sometimes you could, like, almost sense I don't know if jealousy is the right word, but they, like, sometimes could resent talented students. You know what I mean? And I always felt like they would just like try to instill in you like hard work. And I'm like, yeah, you did a lot of hard work and you're here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who you are, like, other than my professor. Like, so I guess I'm just trying to say in a really long-winded way, like, if you're in school right now, teachers don't know everything.
Well, okay, so I had one highly influential job while I was in school. Most of the time I was like making pizzas or selling pizzas, you know, or whatever.
Delivering pizzas.
I worked at the University Union Pizza Place.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know,
fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I also got a job as a waiter, or not waiter, as a busboy at the Chinese place.
Oh,
you know,
nice.
but there was one time I went back home to Fresno, and I worked for, you remember those like news, like paper, like grade, like Auto Trader magazines.
Yeah.
Where it's just like lists and lists of cars being sold.
Yep.
I worked for one of those.
Like putting them together.
Yeah, like
the layout.
and putting the copying and pasting, inputting information, and then printing it out and then laying, putting together like by hand, and it was like one of the worst jobs, but also one of the most enlightening jobs for me because, so these things come out like every other week, and you start off working 8 hours. And then, like, as we get closer and closer to deadline, it's a 10-hour day. And then it goes to a 12, or it starts out like a 6-hour day, 8-hour day, 10-hour day, 12-hour day. And then,
start over
it starts over again. And that was like the class that taught me all the quick keys that, like, when you open up a drop-down menu and you see like Command C and Command, it's like, that means something.
Oh, thank God.
These shortcuts add up to save massive amounts of time.
Yes.
Now I like to work 11.5 hours.
Yes. They don't teach you that in university grade
I feel like
classes.
it's supposed to be common sense, but it's not.
Well, in 1995, it wasn't common sense.
Right.
Yeah, we barely just
technology.
got emails. I remember it was my first year in college, and my sister had called me, and she's like, go to the library. There's this thing called email. Yep. I was like, that's not gonna stick. No one's gonna do that. That's ridiculous. I'll just fax it. I was like, you're crazy. Okay, are you living in like this in outer space?
Back to the future world.
Email. That's never gonna stick.
Right? That's like the.
And it didn't. Kind of. Like, I mean, it's still around, but we're like into text and like DMs. And
yeah, but no, email is still very much
it is
a
a
thing.
standard. It is.
Yeah, it's a formal text message.
It is. Very professional.
You're being serious when it comes in the form of an email.
Especially if at the end there's like a signature. You know what I mean?
Or the confidentiality thing. You're like, oh.
You must be very important.
So you think you are.
Ooh, confidential.
But
tell me more.
Liable.
I think the art director from that job like pulled me aside and was like, don't get your hopes up.
Damn.
Like
at Auto Trader?
Yeah, the Auto Trader thing. You're a creative guy, you're a nice guy, but it's sound advice. Like, just because, you've like whatever,
Yeah, there's so many people when you're pursuing the arts, especially where it's just like people want you to be successful, but they know what a small percentage of people actually, become successful in the endeavors that you pursue.
But oftentimes are those people part of that statistic that they're referencing? And that's
Most
what I mean when I say,
and,
like,
they're sharing their experience.
Yeah.
And like
you'll never make it in this biz, kid.
Because
it's never going to work for you.
Yeah.
Right, because I worked my whole life, you know what I mean? Like, I was just a taxi dancer or whatever. I don't even know, is that a thing? So it's like, there is definitely a lot of that. It's like the deterrence because of your, I don't want to say failure, but maybe,
your early experience.
Experienced success.
Yes.
Well, this kind of brings up like one of the things that I used to like talking about is the 3 things you need to be successful in the arts. And
do you still believe this?
There's a little more nuance to it now, but when I first started started like feeling like, oh, I can do this.
Okay.
Like this is a career. I kind of distilled it down to 3 things.
Okay.
And the 3 things that you needed were talent.
Sound.
Talent is, you got to have like the skills to pay the bills, right?
Right.
And you needed discipline.
Yes.
And that is the hard, that's a tough one.
That's the hardest one.
Yeah. It's hard to like not get caught up in the romanticization of what you're doing. And the third is luck.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
But luck isn't just like dumb luck. Luck kind of manifests in so many different ways.
Of course.
And it's somewhat controllable sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the times too, it's just like the luck of being born who you are.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Like say, what is it? The Beckham's kid, David Beckham's kid. He like fancies himself a photographer, and so he put out
a chef.
What?
And he thinks he's also a chef.
Right, exactly. And so he takes these photos, and people are like, "These are so fucking rudimentary."
Or he'll like
photos.
literally give like.
And he's like, "I'm an artist,"
and he'll be like, give these like cooking
demos
and like hacks and stuff, and you're like, literally like professional chefs will come in, they're like, that doesn't do anything.
Terrible.
Nobody does that.
That's not a technique that people do. You know.
Well, if he has the discipline
right.
to like see past his own name and like embrace critique.
But when he doesn't have the first one,
talent,
just do the others matter?
So on the long run, no. But I think that like you could get somewhere with when you're short on one of them.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like, or you could just have immense luck. Yeah. You know?
But it only gets you so far.
It does.
Right.
Yeah. You need the discipline the talent to be able to keep that sale rolling. But I don't know. I have like examples of like people I know that like were lacking in one of the three and like their careers start strong and then it peters out. But I don't really. I'm not going to go there.
No, we don't.
Maybe we don't light them up right now.
Well, the cameras are
You've
off.
Been spared.
This is for the Patreon. People only.
We're looking into
Pay
that.
us, we'll name that.
I'll give you a fucking list. How much you got? Well, Luke, we want to thank you so much for coming in today and having dinner with you last night. We've had so much fun. I don't know if you're open to it, but I consider you my best friend.
We're besties now.
Awesome.
Yep,
are there any things coming up for you that you want to talk about?
Right now, I'm working on my August solo show. Hopefully, we could have me back on before the show, so we could talk about it. Or we could even do like a walkthrough thing.
What if we do a show at your show?
We could do a live show.
The acoustics might be really bad.
It's okay. We have this. Isn't this like this will magically make everything work?
Help,
we'll talk to.
I think I also have. We also have like lapel mics that might be better for acoustic.
I can fulfill my like newscaster fantasies.
Yeah,
nice. You can put the blazer back on.
And just do this every once in a while.
I'll wear the green one. That's my power blazer.
Because it's like a green Power Ranger?
I don't know, but I put it on and people are like, oh my God, she's a very powerful woman. I'm like, yeah, I am.
Because green implies money.
Maybe. I thought it was red. I thought red was the power color.
That's in the Asian world. Oh, yeah.
Right? That's what I like. The Nancy Reagan power suit?
No, it is. Yeah. Both are in different ways.
Well, we'll find out. I'll do an experiment.
Maybe green is understated power.
Maybe. Yeah. It's like subtle power, right?
Yeah. Or maybe it's because your complexion just lends itself.
It may be. Oh, you know what? That could
theory.
Be it. Color theory.
You're a winter.
You have a lot of red undertones in your skin, so the green just helps really complement.
Stay away from lavender, whatever you do.
Oh, wow. Purple.
You didn't do that when you were in Japan, did you?
What?
That, like, I think it's big in Korea, too, where they do try to tell you what colors suit you
they do that.
Stuff.
That's
something you'd be interested
in,
but just
black.
for the I think
that I know. Safely say we all do. I was like, we are all wearing black
Not
hoodies right now.
Not only just black, but black hoodies. Yeah.
Very specific.
Very color coordinated.
Is it because we want to be ninja?
Yes! Oh my God! I've been waiting for this.
I am not afraid of a callback. Okay.
So. You're not Japanese.
No.
I'm not. You're not Japanese.
None of us
I'm
are
not
Japanese.
Like, if I do a Japanese accent, is that racist?
We're gonna have to table that because
maybe
I think it is. Isn't it?
Because, like, you know, I do a funny and really not right Japanese accent because, you know, look. You guys should think it's funny. You guys are Korean.
Imperialism.
Yeah.
Fuck the Japanese. You know, war criminals, all of them.
I think though that's exactly why. Like, there's so much like historical context to it that if I was just like, yeah, it's funny, like, but this is why I find it funny. This is what. But like, I don't know. I won't touch that with a 10-foot pole, to be honest.
Yeah, I used to think accents were funny.
You have to ask a Japanese person what they think. I think overall, if it's not, I don't know. I say no. I say don't do it.
See, like, you know, I was thinking about the me wanna be ninja woman, and I was just thinking, like, I guess that's just the burden of the majority.
I guess, or is it just like the majority's ambitions and understanding that the exploitation of it will gain them something. Right? Like I don't know that it's the burden if you're going to use it to your advantage.
Yeah, for me, the accent is offensive thing comes in is like, what was your purpose though? You know?
Was it for the lulz?
Then I feel like it's questionable, you know? But that's me personally.
What if
I just hate that
her husband was Japanese and he just talked that way and he was imitating him?
Nope. Still a hard no for me, Luke.
Same.
Still a hard no.
Like if
Which is even worse. Like, so somebody that you love, you're just going to fucking clown them? That's fucked up.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? You're married.
I'm saying, but
It's your job to clown on your significant other.
To his face, not to other people. It's like calling your sister a bitch. I can call my sister a bitch. You can't fucking call my sister a bitch. Bitch.
But what if she was being a bitch?
But that doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Then I'll tell her she was being a bitch. You don't need to. I'm doing it.
Yeah, like,
that's my
Can
job.
I like whisper to you like, oh, your sister's really being a bitch? Can you?
Well, then I guess it
Maybe that's
depends on-
different. You're informing me of her being a bitch so that I can then do
like,
something about it.
As friends, you're commiserating
Right.
about
Or
her
like,
being a bitch.
I could be like, you're right, she is a fucking bitch.
Yeah. Like,
Okay, okay.
If my best friend was like, hey man, your mom can be a bitch sometimes, I'd be like, yeah, she is kind of a bitch to me. But if somebody was like, your mom's a bitch, you're gonna get punched in the face.
Right, for sure.
And I'm gonna knock you out. Yeah.
Because there's a difference between like trauma bonding or, versus just abject just being made fun of.
But what if, like, my mom goes up to my friend, goes, "Oh, you're so fat now. You need to lose weight." And then walks away. My friend looks at me. He's like, "Man, your mom's a bitch."
We'll be like, there's a lot to unpack there. Sit down. And so I was 3 years old when, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you know what? You want context? You want to know all the reasons why my mom's a bitch? Let's get into it.
See, my conversation would go, and that's how it feels to have Asian parents.
Right, exactly.
Because that was supposed to be love.
Right. She's telling you look
Yeah, she's
robust.
actually telling you that she likes you. Now, welcome to my childhood.
Yeah, she cares about your health.
Yeah.
And wants you to lose weight because, like, your little heart can only pump
so much blood.
Welcome to being Asian, motherfucker.
Oh my God.
This is
like new. This is the Patreon material here.
yeah.
I know, right? Do we even have that yet?
We keep trying to. We're going to.
I have one set up, but
figure
I don't
it
know
out.
what to do with
Yeah,
it.
but we have to figure out what it is you're getting, Like, is it feet pics? Is it like
Feet?
Is it lives? Is it
I mean,
lives?
like, if you can make money off of just taking pictures of your feet, then like,
Hell
why
yes.
not?
Dude, but see, the
Fuck
thing
yes.
is like that's the gateway thing, right? Because once you say yes to like feet pics,
Like,
they
they
don't
lead to
stop
knee
at feet
pics.
pics.
Oh no!
Like,
It's like,
then
okay,
you lift
well,
up your legs a little and
no,
it's like, oh, the
it's
ankle.
like, well, now I want you to wear socks for a week on those feet and then send them to me. And then if you're not gonna, and then after that, it's like, and then I want you to wear this pair of underwear for 3 days and then send them to me.
As a
and
man?
then it's like, I don't want
As
that.
a man, I'm okay with that. Those requests are fine. As a
I don't want
woman,
to give you my DNA. Like, what the fuck? No.
Last time I was in Japan recently, and I went to the one, like, there's a place to go to called Nakano Broadway, and it's got a couple of adult bookstores in there, and it's the only place I've ever been to where like they had on the wall, a Polaroid of a pair of panties and a Polaroid of the girl wearing said panties.
Yeah, sure it
in
was.
the bag. And you could be able to buy it in whatever.
oh my gosh.
And I think COVID took out that industry. Because it wasn't there anymore.
No industry did not suffer because of COVID.
Yeah.
Every
COVID fucked
industry.
everyone.
Even industries you
I was
didn't
like sad
know.
because I took my friend with me and we're like, oh, let's go like find the used panties.
And you're like, sir, I was here a few years ago and there were panties on this wall. I don't see them. Do you still have panties? Like, no, man, COVID wiped out the whole industry.
Yeah, or I could have said, pants.
Yeah. Or maybe COVID.
Don't do that, Luke. You're gonna get us canceled. God damn it.
Wait, maybe COVID got them sold out.
No, I don't.
Maybe people were like, remember at the beginning of the pandemic when people were wearing the most ridiculous things as masks?
Oh, right. Wearing ladies' underwear as a mask.
I've literally seen people wearing women's underwear as masks.
One of my first TikToks was a guy wearing like boxer shorts as a mask. And I was like,
were they new is what I want to know.
I doubt
Did you
it.
buy them on OnlyFans or?
I think I said there's nothing like owning the libs by smelling your own balls. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
It's a familiar smell. It's a comforting familiar
feels like
smell.
home.
Yeah.
It's like,
I know this guy.
it's like not sour today.
You should go to the doctor.
Yes. Nothing says that you put your hands on your pants and then goes like this after more than wearing your own underwear as a
On
mask.
your face.
Yeah.
Hey, look,
Yeah,
I picked my nose too, so nothing wrong. Nothing wrong
We've
with
all
that.
been there.
We all, like sometimes you just want to know,
What's going on?
like, I didn't take a shower yesterday.
Is everything where it's supposed to be?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. And by the way, that wasn't me mocking Japanese people. That was me speaking in
Japanese.
Yes, because pantsu is.
That's how Koreans say pants.
That's how you say panties in Japanese.
There was a little gesturing included.
I'm a bower. Are you a bower?
I am a bower.
I do
Oh my God. I watched this video yesterday where this person taught their dog to do the Asian bow. And it was someone's mom. It was a dog owner's mom would go, and she was Korean. She could be like, "안녕하세요." She'd say hi. And then if there was two dogs, the one dog never learned it. And the one dog kept being like, and she was like, yes. And I was like,
cute.
I didn't know there was a trick I had to teach.
That is amazing.
That is amazing.
I think that's fantastic.
That
I'm going
is
to go
amazing.
rush home.
Yeah,
and
no,
teach my
literally,
dog.
it was like, I'm going to put a
Why
clip
did
right
you
here.
say that? I was going to say, I need to
Oh
see it.
my
I
God.
need
The
to
clip
see
is
it.
gonna be
That's
on this
so
video.
You should
cute.
duet that thing or whatever they call
No,
it. and
because if
say
you do,
this-
they'll be like, why are you going to eat that dog in?
No, I don't care about this comment. Yeah. But
Triggers me.
yeah, it does trigger me, but I can't share Colt. He's like the cutest thing I've ever seen. But I'm going to teach that motherfucker, my motherfucker, how to do a bow. And I will do at that.
Speaking of cute little animals.
Pending if I'm successful.
You should do like a series of small, like 10-second TikToks of you like trying to teach your dog that.
Oh, you
Yeah,
should.
I could. That's a good idea too.
Yep, people love that shit.
But I should probably show them that I succeeded first before they're like, why the fuck would I listen to this idiot?
Oh,
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
Like, look what I did. Let me show you how I did it.
Yep.
Speaking of really cute animals, I want to show you guys what Luke gave each of us.
Oh, you're like holding on to that this whole time?
Well, because I was waiting for this moment where I could show off that I have an artist's piece of work.
So that's the Hello Lukey, the blue and white swirl one. I think I still have some available on my online store, lukechueh.bigcartel.com, and it's about the fact that when I was designing my character, one of the like influences that I had was Hello Kitty, and the reason why I like fixated on Hello Kitty was because over the 40 some years of Hello Kitty being around.
She's 48, and I know that because she and I are the same age. She's 47.
47.
Yeah.
Her
She was
design.
born the same year as me, okay?
Her design hasn't changed.
Yeah.
It has stayed
Consistent.
consistent the entire time, and it's been fresh. It's modern, and I wanted to create a character that over time would not age. Yeah, would not
Timeless.
Yeah,
Right.
I wanted timelessness about my character, which is the reason why when you look at my characters, it's basically distilled down to the silhouette of the head and two eyes and a nose, and
Yeah, you say it that way. It's very simple, but there's like a lot
So much
of
complexity to
technique
it.
and like shading and
well, that's kind of a recent-ish thing. Like that's me like going, all right, I want to learn how to actually paint.
yeah.
And you said that each
Sure.
one of these is unique.
Yes,
Right?
so they're made in Japan, which all the more reason, for something like Hello Lukey, it had to be made in Japan.
Right.
Yeah.
And we, there's a trend in the art toy scene where for Sofubi, which is soft vinyl, and it's all like kind of hand poured, hand mixed. Like, so this, I really like love the swirly vinyl because someone has to go in there and like pour one vinyl, dump some of it out, and then and then pour another vinyl and swirl it together. Or I think what they do is they swirl it together in a thing and then pour it and then dump it. It's
they don't swirl it in the cast.
I think they do. I don't know. Like we found.
I'm picturing someone pouring one, pouring the other, and then like in the cast and taking like a small like toothpick like they do in food, and then like doing these swirls.
Well, there is a couple of Hello Lukey's that my sister and I looked at, and it is almost obvious that they were writing like stuff in order to create the agitations. Like maybe they got so sick of it.
It's like the Disney.
The hidden penises and the pillars.
They're like, there's only so much of this I can do before I'm like, fuck it.
My Hello Lukey says butthole on it.
It says help.
I'm trapped in a Japanese toy making factory.
I'm a child.
No, don't say that. God damn
Actually,
it.
what's interesting about those factories is they are literally like 2 to 3 person factories. It's
small batch.
In a tiny little like apartment that's been rigged with all the air filtration stuff, and they're just pouring vinyl and then curing it there and then pulling it, and then like the second room will be like a paint booth.
That's so cool.
And so it's like everything's done like one at a time.
Yeah.
It's an interesting craft, and you could do like the same thing in China now, but
for the culture, it had to be from Japan.
Well, the funny thing is that a lot of Japanese artists, because a lot of these factories in Japan are so backlogged with, Americans or Westerners wanting to have their stuff manufactured there and are willing to wait the half year to have it done. A lot of Japanese like toy artists are going to China, because they could get it done cheaper and faster
and more mass produced.
Yeah, well, they don't care about the culture because their art is the culture, whereas the rest of us were like, we're visiting the culture, so it needs to be done in Japan.
Or we just want to like have some like authenticity.
Whereas
like,
Japanese artists are like, you are the authenticity.
Right.
Yeah.
I waited 2 years to have this done in Japan.
While eating this ridiculously expensive sushi.
Oh, jeez.
On
the final note, Michelin has ruined Asia.
He really believes that. 5A Wagyu, what did you call it? What was it?
There's like, A5 Wagyu.
A5,
Well, A5 Wagyu is not a Michelin thing, but I think
it's overrated.
No, it's delicious.
No, not that part. The Michelin part.
Michelin.
Oh no.
We just like Asian cultures and food have thrived before.
Imagine, okay, you know what the stereotype for food stuff in the United States is? Like, if there's someone taking a picture of the food, 8 out of 10 times, 4 out of 5 times, it's an Asian person.
Yes.
Now, imagine a country filled with Asians.
Yeah.
They want that hype beast fucking food.
Yeah.
They want that, like, they're willing to pay out the nose, wait hours and hours for this shit.
For the fucking money shot.
And it's just kind of like, you're ruining it for everyone else. And
I gotcha.
And
I'm guilty.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go to the Moss Burger, which is like I think the first hot hamburger chain, and I'm just gonna eat, or I'm gonna go to the revolving sushi place, and just eat that, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah,
because the revolving sushi in Japan is still like here compared to like Kura sushi, which is great, by the way. I'm a fan of Kura sushi. Do you ever go to Kura sushi? Yeah, there's like 2 of them, one in Little Tokyo, one in Sawtelle. Yeah.
I always go by there, but then I'm always like, I gotta get ramen, or I'm like, I gotta get pho. And then I walk past.
It's hard not to go to sushi.
That's the revolving sushi place, right?
Got good pho.
Nangla? Yeah, I love Nangla.
Nangla's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, yeah.
I'll check it out for sure.
If you want like less than $3 a plate sushi.
I do want that. I want that right now. What time is it?
Sounds good.
Starving. I was gonna say you're going West Side, right?
Yeah.
Well, on that note, we're all gonna go eat now. But again, we want to thank you so much. I know you took 2 days out of your life. You had dinner with us last night, and now you're here today. So thank you so much.
It's fun. I'm happy to do this. This is great.
Thank you. And we'll definitely be seeing you. If not before August, for sure before the show, because I'm actually really excited. I really want to go. I really want to go see that. But
I hope I don't let you guys down.
You could never. You could. Well, if you keep doing that Japanese accent, you might.
I let myself down.
These
all
things are
the
all
time.
to be determined, but we really do appreciate
Yeah.
it. We can't thank you enough, and
The
we look
pleasure
forward
is
to
mine.
our long-standing relationship with you. And this is so cute. I can't wait to watch my girls fight over it, just for me to tell them that neither of them can fucking have it, and it's mine.
We're taking it out of the bag.
Yeah, don't even. This is no.
Yeah, take it
don't
out of
ever.
the bag. Like that's the reason why I created a shitty header card. It's like just
No.
like
that's
pull
part
it
of the
out
experience.
and like go like set it on your
Luke,
table.
you should know better.
No.
We don't take things out of
I
plastic.
take things out of the plastic.
The remote comes out of the plastic, but not the
The
toys.
couch comes out of the plastic.
The couch and the remote comes out of the plastic, not the
Plastic
toys.
couches. Anyway,
You guys can follow everyone. Luke on.
At Luke Chueh, I have a TikTok.
woohoo!
Oh, yeah.
I don't post very often.
That's okay.
Yeah.
The last one I did was the youth filter thing.
Oh, did it
Yeah.
work?
You should watch. You should see.
You know what? I'll follow you. Are you on
here.
Instagram too?
I'm on Instagram at Luke Chueh, and my Facebook is problematic. So
Oh shit! All right.
Yeah,
Well, I don't go on Facebook for that reason. And I'm sure you have a website, and you can go to the website.
my
and get one
website
of
hasn't
these.
been updated in like over 11 years, but check it out. It's got all my old work.
Yeah, cool.
So,
And you can go get one of these.
and you go to my store, lukechueh.bigcartel.com.
Perfect.
And you can follow Soogia at,
Soogia1 on TikTok and on Instagram.
and you can find me everywhere at Etch a Sketch with a J, or find our podcast at WhatintheShibal.
Wait, is that how you say it?
Yeah, Shibal. Shibal is Korean for like fuck shit. Yeah, it's like an exclamatory like fuck or what the fuck shit. Yeah, so it's like what in the shit, what in the fuck.
I remember like looking at that going, I don't know how to say that.
Yeah,
A lot of people think it's Shibal.
Shibal,
Yeah.
which makes sense.
Did we spell it right? Yeah, I wouldn't know. Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, it's
You know what we
Korean,
meant.
so it's spelled however the fuck we wanted to
And
spell
I
in
think
English.
we decided what we're going to call our listeners, right?
Maybe.
We'll see. We're playing with it.
Either way, we'll see you Shibalers later.
Take your Shibalan asses the fuck out of here.
That is great. You should create a shirt.
Oh, we will. We're doing all of it.
All right, so thank you again. If you guys are watching us on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell.
Ding.
And other than that, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.
That was fun.
That was great.
Yeah.
Luke, you were so easy. I just sat there. I was like, I could just listen to him.
That one
talk.
needs to go for
Just
like
keep
20
talking.
seconds.
That's awesome.
The podcast that I did with Eric Nakamura, we would just go for 3 hours. We were trying to do the Joe Rogan thing before Joe Rogan was.
Yeah, that's crazy long.
That's so long.
That is so
Say,
long.
like, my lower back is killing me. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah. Well, we would do it from the comfort of his home and with actual like office
Lounge
chairs,
chairs.
like 8-hour chairs.
Right.
Yeah.
This is not an 8-hour chair.
No, this is not an 8-hour chair.
Sign that